Madam President, as the son and grandson of classroom teachers, as a father myself, and as someone for whom education played a central role in my life, as a passionate believer in the power of education to change others' lives, I rise today to talk about a bill that is one of the most important to me that I have moved as a senator. The fact is, if we look at the American national condition, lack of access to higher education, lack of an opportunity for quality education, it's one of the greatest problems we face. Inequality in having some real hope, some real promise of a shot at college defines and distinguishes the drivers of social inequality in America in ways it hasn't in decades. If we want to ensure going forward that American workers can compete in the global economy, if we want to ensure a country that is capable of living up to our promise of liberty and justice for all, if we want to deal with one of the biggest civil rights issues, I think, in our country, then we have to ensure every child has an equal chance for a high-quality education, regardless of the zip code they're born into. Madam President, long before I was elected to public office, I spent years working with an education-centered nonprofit called the I Have a Dream Foundation. And in my role there, I visited schools all over the United States. More often than not, schools in very tough communities and neighborhoods, schools that were in public housing developments or that were in some of the most forlorn and troubled neighborhoods in all of America. And something that struck me over and over again was when I'd go into an elementary school and talk to a whole group of young kids and say, what do you dream of? What do you hope to be when you grow up? And they'd raise their hands and you'd ask, none of them said, I dream of being in a gang, I dream of being in jail, I dream of being a drug dealer, I dream of dying before 20. They'd say, I dream of being a senator or a lawyer, of owning my own business, or of being a star in the NBA, of being a success. The dreams that you hear from kids in elementary schools are the same regardless of what community you're in America. Yet the outcomes are so desperately different. What I saw in the nearly 20 years I was active with the I Have a Dream Foundation was that the young people who come from a community, a family, or a school where there's little or no experience or expectation of a college education, there are powerful and persistent and negative messages from a very early age that college is not for them. They're told indirectly that it's not affordable, it's not accessible, it's just not part of the plan for their future. And those messages have a cumulative and powerful and consequential impact. Very few of the 50 dreamers from the east side of Wilmington that my family and I worked very closely with had any expectation of a college education. And in 1988, when our chapter of the I Have a Dream program promised them the opportunity for a higher education through a scholarship, you could see the change. First in their teachers and their parents, then in their mentors and their classmates, and ultimately in them, in their hopes, in their expectations. The most powerful thing that the I Have a Dream program in our chapter and dozens of chapters all over the country did was to hold up a mirror to young people of their future that was a brighter and more promising future than they had ever dreamed of on their own. And then to challenge them to walk through that open door and to make college not just a distant dream, not just something you'd heard of, not something you watched on TV, but something that became a part of their lived life and to change their outcomes. Well, that experience has inspired the bill that I introduced in the last Congress and that I'm most personally connected to in this Congress. And last year, I found a Republican partner who shares my passion for expanding access to college and for making it more affordable. That partner, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. Now, some folks have noticed that here in the Senate, we don't always get along and we don't always agree, and sometimes partisanship divides us. So I've been very, very pleased to have this strong and able partner in moving forward a bipartisan bill, which we named the American Dream Accounts Act, a bill that bridges the opportunity gap by connecting students and teachers, parents and mentors to create a new generation of higher education achievers. Too many American kids today are cut off from the enormous potential of a higher education. The numbers are grim. If you come from a low-income family, the chance you'll complete a college degree by the time you're 25 is about 1 in 10 at best. And these days, in order to have a prospect of employment and opportunity, of accumulating wealth, and of providing education and security for your family and your kids, college education is essential. We in the federal government spend billions of dollars on making higher education affordable through Pell Grants, yet do almost nothing to make it clear to children at the earliest age that this funding will be available to them. In my home state of Delaware, where our Governor Jack Markell and our First Lady Carla Markell have done a wonderful job of incorporating the power of this insight, this lesson, of ensuring that there is a state-funded scholarship and a network of engaged mentors and real reform in our public schools. We don't tell kids, even in our state, in elementary school, of the possibilities that lie ahead of them in a way that changes their expectations. That's what this bill will hopefully do. It encourages partnerships between schools and colleges, nonprofits and businesses. It allows them to develop individualized student accounts, like a Facebook account married to a college savings account. Individual accounts that are secure, that are web-based, that are personal, and that are portable. Accounts that contain information about each student's academic preparedness and financial literacy. Something that combines a portfolio of their entire education experience with the very real savings for the future of higher education that we want to pull them towards from their earliest years. Instead of forcing motivated parents or concerned teachers or interested mentors or empowered students, instead of forcing all of these folks to track down these different resources separately, this legislation, this idea, would connect them across existing silos and across existing education programs at the state and federal level. So tomorrow, Senator Rubio and I will reintroduce this legislation as the bipartisan American Dream Accounts Act of 2013. We are working hard to earn the support of our colleagues here in the Senate and in the House, and I will keep at this as long as that takes. Madam President, the American Dream Accounts Act addresses long-standing challenges and barriers to college access: connectivity, financial resources, early intervention, and portability. And let me briefly speak to each of those. First, connectivity. The journey from elementary school through high school to higher education is a long one. And for a student to be successful, it takes lots of engaged and attentive adults, motivated parents, concerned teachers, supportive family. So many students in our schools all over this country disengage or drop out along that way because they're not connected. They're not supported by those concerned and engaged adults. The American Dream Accounts Act takes advantage of modern technology to create Facebook-inspired, individualized accounts, an opportunity to deliver personalized hubs of information that would connect these kids and sustain and support them throughout the entire journey of education by continuing to remind them of the promise of higher education and its affordability. Second, these dream accounts would connect kids with college savings opportunities. Studies show that students who know there is a dedicated college savings account in their name are 7 times more likely to go to college than peers without one. Think about that for a moment. States like Delaware and our nation invest billions of dollars in programs to make higher education affordable. Yet so few of the kids I worked with all over this country in the Ivy Dream program have any idea. They've never heard of Senator Pell. They don't know Pell Grants exist. They don't live in states that have the Hope Scholars, the Aspire Scholars, or the Dream Scholarships that a number of states have, and they don't know they'll be there for them when they're of age to go to college. Why don't we tell them earlier? Why don't we change their expectations? That's one of the things this program would do, and it's not a new idea. It's a demonstrated one that we know works. The third piece of this American Dream Accounts Act is early intervention. As I said, state and federal programs that provide billions in support to make college affordable don't connect with kids early enough. By letting them know early, we can change their ultimate orientation and outcomes. The last important piece is portability. One of the things I saw in my own experience with my dreamers, the students in the Ivy Dream program that I helped run in Delaware, was just how often they moved. Children growing up in poverty, in families facing unexpected challenges, relocate over and over and bounce from school to school, district to district, often facing overstretched teachers with full classrooms who, when they move mid-year into a new school, don't get any background information or insight on the student who's moved into their classroom. So instead of being welcomed and engaged in a positive way, sometimes they feel and are disconnected and develop into discipline problems, or students who are difficult to teach. The mobility that comes with poverty sometimes also leads to disconnection from education. This robust, online, secure, individualized account would empower teachers to connect with parents, to connect with mentors, and to know the entire education history of the student newly before them. So no matter what disruptions or challenges a student might face as they travel through the long journey of education, their own individual American Dream account, their own portfolio of their dreams and their activities and their progress would be there with them. Madam President, our nation's long-term economic competitiveness requires a highly trained and highly educated workforce. And our nation's commitment to a democracy, to a country of equal opportunity, demands that we do everything we can to make real the hope of higher education for kids, no matter the zip code into which they're born, no matter their background. And while we spend billions on making higher education affordable, we aren't delivering it effectively enough to change that future. What I saw in my years with the I Have a Dream program was bright faces, raised arms, hope and opportunity that sadly was not as often as it could be realized. This program, this connectivity, this new type of account is a way to make real on that promise. We can meet this challenge by connecting students with a broad array of higher education options, informing them about them early, whether it's vocational school or job training, community college, or four-year universities. Not everyone's made for a four-year higher education degree. This would connect kids with all the different opportunities for skill training and higher education that are out there. It also would support students as they identify the type of higher education best for them, the career they most want, and give them the tools to get there. As I visited schools across my own state of Delaware, one thing is clear. All these different resources currently exist in different ways and at different stages of education, but they are not connected in a way that weaves together students, parents, mentors, and the resources of our highly motivated, highly engaged state. So this vision, one that has stayed with me from my time at I Have a Dream to my service here as a senator, is that when we ask a room full of elementary school kids in the future, what do you dream of? What is your hope? That when their hands shoot up in the air and they list all the different dreams they've got, that regardless of background or income or community, we can make that possible. We can make our investments real, and we can make the dream of equal opportunity a reality. This year, with the support of lots of groups, the Corporation for Enterprise Development, a wonderful group called Opportunity Nation, the First Focus campaign for children, we are hopeful that bipartisan support for this American Dream Accounts idea will simply continue to grow. Let's work together to empower students and parents of all backgrounds to achieve their dreams from the earliest age. Thank you. And Madam President, I yield the floor.